Have you abandoned your child? Me neither. Not yet. 1 in 4 households in the United States are single-parent households. Of those that are, 80% of them are led by the mother. But what does that mean? Who cares? I mean, what does it mean to be a father? And who cares about the mother and the children? Today, we'll explore the effects of living in a single-parent household, what parents can do to mitigate these situations, and most importantly, my personal experience with it. My name is Jose Jerez, and I am 1 in 4. Now, before we begin, I do want to express a lot of these are just going to be opinions, especially from the position of a male growing up in these circumstances. I'm sure other perspectives suck, as said so by my sister. To be a father can be very easily defined as being intimate with a woman and her having a child. Congrats, you're a dad. Now, this has nothing to do with being in a relationship. You could be in the happiest of relationships or barely know the person. The important part is whether or not your soldiers won the foot race. Don't believe me? Get a DNA test. And if you don't like this explanation of it, I highly recommend not being silly and wrapping your willy. Now, after a baby is born, life sucks. Babies suck.
Shut up!
¿A quién estás diciendo shut up tú? ¿A mí me estás diciendo shut up?
The best couples have been broken up by children, and the time and effort it takes to raise them is severely underrated by most. Now, the baby isn't the problem, it's just trying to survive. The issue lies in the preparation and shared responsibility that the parents have of raising said child. This can often lead to relationships breaking off in dramatic fashion, as dealing with a person that you realize you're no longer compatible with and raising a child that is a chore on its own makes leaving the relationship a saving grace most of the time. Now, this isn't the end of the world. Not being with the mother of your child isn't everything. There are plenty of fathers who are still present in their child's life despite not being able to make the relationship work out.
Charity, I'm here to pick up my son.
Sometimes this is the best choice. Now, staying together for the kids sounds fucking miserable. You don't like the person you're with, and your decision is to sell a lie to your children. But to each their own. Co-parenting a child is, I think, usually the better option in this situation, as now the child gets to experience both parents trying their best in their own ways. If one parent really fucking sucks, they can always decide to spend more time with the other parent when they get older. Now, this seems like a win-win, unless you're the poorer of the two parents, because it's really easy to buy the love of your children. Now, you might be thinking that's not the case, but it really is. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Just buy them the Xbox. Who cares if you missed their birthday? If you give it to them afterwards and then tell them, I was working overtime in order to get you this, they're not gonna know the fucking difference. They're stupid kids. And they're not any smarter than you. But you see, when couples do split up, it's often the man just deciding not to be in the child's life anymore. I'm gonna go get some milk. And as soon as they walk out that door, you're the man of the house now. Or if you're a girl, it's ladies' night every night. I don't know. But wait, even if the father doesn't want to be a part of the child's life, child support exists. That is true. It does. And I've seen this argument be used, but I think it's very funny, as this sort of monetary help only really ever helps the mother. This is how that argument usually plays out. I'm the mom, by the way. I pay for everything in my children's life. They are my sole responsibility, and as such, any money that I do receive, I have the right to do with whatever I want. Okay, I'm not the mother anymore. I 100% agree with that. If you are the one paying for everything in the child's life, you kind of have the monetary responsibility. Here's the funny part. Half of Americans lack financial literacy. Do you want to know which side of the coin you're on? Go ahead and flip a coin for me. Don't have a coin to flip? There's your answer. Congrats. Here's a medal. If you have two parents, the chances of one of them being smart with their money is pretty good. It's not 100%, but you have a much better shot. 1 in 3 single-parent households are poor. So not only do you not have a dad, you're broke. Of those, 1 in
4
single parent households actually receive child support. So it's not hard to see why. And this paycheck to paycheck sort of help really means nothing to a child. Even if you pay child support, the kid can't hug a check. A check isn't gonna sing happy birthday to them or scold them for burning their hand on the stove. Quite literally, all of the responsibility socially of raising this child is left to the parent that you didn't like being with. Very risky. If a mother is young or undereducated, they are both left to learn how to become an adult and also a good parent. Now, nobody is perfect, but this is a disadvantage. Imagine I break your leg and then tell you you have to run a marathon, all while healing the leg. I mean, it's possible, and I'm sure you'll figure it out, but I could have made that a lot easier. You know, being a leg to support. Another statistic about this is that almost 40% of single mothers are below the age of 30. So that whole growing up and learning how to be an adult thing is very real in these circumstances. For the child, the biggest question will be why? Why isn't dad here? Why isn't he helping us? Right? Simple, innocent questions that even if you do answer will mean nothing to a child because they want both mom and dad. The usual route is resentment. I've met plenty of children who hate the parent that wasn't there. For boys, this often means learning how to become a man without a father figure. They're often told they are the man of the house, but this is a fucking lie. When you tell a kid this, it feels like it's their responsibility to fix a problem they did not create. I don't know how to be the man of the house. I don't even know how to yank it correctly. Is it supposed to look like that? Or smell like that? Or be tilted a little bit to the left? Again, complete disadvantage. I got lucky though. Up until I was about 11, I grew up with my stepdad. And he was the dad that stepped up. I knew he wasn't my biological father because my mom wouldn't stop bringing it up. But I actually didn't know my real dad's name until I was about 8. Before that, I used to ask my mom who my real dad was. And she would always tell me it was bachata superstar Romeo Santos. And I hate to admit this, but I believed her. I don't know, I was asking. Why would you fucking lie to a kid about that? So I always wondered why my singing wasn't as good as my dad's. It turns out it was. I think the craziest part of mine or anyone else's ordeal is how you picture your fathers. See, up until this point, my biological dad was like a ghost. I knew he was supposed to be around, but I couldn't picture what that looked like. And yes, there was resentment. At first, I didn't really want to meet him when I was a kid. But then you meet him and you're a kid and you go, wow, this is my dad. Am I also going to be fat? For my stepdad, he was the father figure I had for most of my growing up. And then he was just gone. It didn't work out between him and my mom. So he left. And we tried to stick around. We'd talk and hang out afterwards. But he really wasn't a part of my life anymore. Because he just wasn't my biological father. And now I'm ready to take on the world. Just kidding. I sucked at school. I had really high grades and did well in all of my classes, but what I sucked at was drive. I wasn't pushed towards anything, and my mother was working a job trying to sustain 2 kids. The rest of my family had their own issues going on, so I was just kind of left to coast through everything. But I was lucky. The alternative is overcompensating. Worse than me, I've seen people in my life. Drugs, alcohol, fighting, gambling, depression, you name it. When I asked about it, it made total sense. Hey, bro, I don't think you should be drinking. Why? Who cares? I don't know. And that who cares is a big part of it. There's one parent that's trying to sustain a family, and then there's no one else. The second parent just isn't there to be a mentor, to be around, to be anything. I was lucky to have people in my life, family members, friends, and otherwise, that at least asked and cared enough to ask. Some people don't even have that. In fact, most people don't even have both of their parents. Now, overwhelmed in a world that doesn't care about you, as a parent, sometimes you mirror that for your children. And that isn't fair to the kid. Life isn't fair. But I don't think that's because it's vile. I think it's because there's a lack of mentors. Tell them not to put their hand on the stove, and then they'll have a better shot of not doing it in the first place. You, as a parent, are the combination of two lives. You would be the best person to give advice to your own children. Even if you don't know the answers to every question, just being there is like 80% of it. But before any of that, choose to have children. Don't be timid about it. If you're going to have a child, try to give that child the best version of yourself to be their parent. If you don't feel like you're the best version of yourself yet, then maybe work on that first before deciding that. And if that decision has already been made and it's out of your hands now, maybe try to be there even if you're not the best. But no matter what you decide to do, I would say always remember that the kid didn't really have a choice in this, and they shouldn't be punished for it. Don't be silly. Wrap your willy. What was the other ones? Practice safe sex. Wear protection. Put on a condom. Use prophylactic condom slogans. Cover your stump before you hump. Before you attack her? What? No, don't do that either. When in doubt, shroud your spout. Don't be a loner. Cover your boner. You can't go wrong if you shield your dong. If you're not gonna sack it, go home and whack it. Wow, that one's interesting.